So today we are going to be working on solving systems by substitution. Now, I know we've already been working on solving by graphing, but we're going to do it by substitution. All right, we're going to solve systems by substitution today. All right, so let's set up a system first. All right, so our system will be y equals 6x minus 11. And then the other part of the system will be, it'll be written in like standard form. So let's just say negative 2x minus 3y equals negative 7, right? Don't worry about the systems. Don't worry about the arrangement. When we're doing the substitution, that's less important. But we are going to implement. We're going to implement a specific strategy to get this going, okay? So what I think I want to do is, since this one is already in the y equals form, that's basically telling you y is 6x minus 11. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to implement this top equation in for y, and we're going to solve. So we already know what y is right here, but we're going to add it into this equation. So let's do that. So negative 2x minus 3, and instead of writing the y, I'm going to put this part of the equation in. So I use parentheses to separate it. 6x minus 11, close the parentheses, and then equals the negative 7. Does everybody see how I got that? It's exactly the same, except where the y is, I implemented what y is. Y is 6x minus 11. Now, once I do that, then I can distribute. We did this earlier in the year. If you were here at the beginning of the year or last semester, we did this. We distribute. You can distribute here and here, which is what we're going to do. 3 times 6 is 18, and then it's negative. 3 times 11 is 33, and negative times a negative is a positive. And then I'll just rewrite everything else, okay? Right? All right. You guys follow me on that step. Follow me on that step, right? Just stop right there. Just look at that. I took the y equals equation and just put it in for y. That's what we did right here. Then I solved inside of this system, right? 3 times 6 is 18. That's a negative. Negative times positive is a negative. And then negative 3 times negative 11 is positive 33. And then I just rewrote everything that was already in the problem. All right? Next, we're going to do what's called combining like terms. So we're going to combine like terms. Right? So that first step was to substitute, right? The system in for y. Or the equation, I should say. And y is a variable, so that's why I said substitute in the equation in for one variable. Then we combine like terms. So what are the like terms here? So let's look at everything. Negative 2x, negative 18x, 33, and then the negative 7 on the other side of the equal sign. You know you don't do anything with the other side of the equal sign just yet. We're just combining like terms. So guess what? The like terms to me are the terms that both have an x. This one doesn't have an x, so it's not a like term. That's just a number. That's just an integer. This is going to be what we combine. So if you use a number line, you would know it becomes more negative. Minus 2, minus 18, okay? Minus 20. You add them and take the sign. And then give you that x, right? And then bring the rest of it down. Let's bring the rest of it down. Okay? Boom. Now we've combined like terms, right? What's next? Now this looks like that standard equation that we just solved. We can just solve. How do we solve? We want to get x by itself. Does this sound familiar? we want to get x by itself. How do I get x by itself? I have to get rid of everything that's next to x and on the same side as x. We want to move everything over here. Equals is the middle of the equation. We want to balance it out, right? So I want to get rid of positive 33. How do I get rid of something that's positive? I use negative. So I'm going to minus 33 here. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Minus 33 here. These two cancel. They cancel, right? And then, because both of these are negative, you just add them and you take the sign, right? Minus 40. Then I just bring down everything else. So what's left is, right? Negative 20x equals negative 40. Now, we still have a problem because it doesn't say x equals, right? It doesn't say x equals. I wanted to say x equals, right? I wanted to say x equals. How do I do that? This is multiplication. This is negative 20 times x. That's what that means. Okay? I don't know if you guys can see below here, so I'm going to move on to this side. I'm going to move on to this side. Okay? I'm going to go up here. Move on to this side. I'm going to bring this up. So it's negative 20x is equal to negative 40. I want to get rid of this negative 20 next to this x. I want it to just say x equals. When it just says x equals, that's what we have to go for. We're going to say x equals. How are we going to do it? This is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. Divide both sides by negative 20. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. These two cancel, leaving just x equals. When you divide these two, we can just drop the zeros, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? A negative divided by a negative is a positive, right? X equals 2. So now we have our x. Remember, we're trying to find a set of points. So now we need the y. Well, Mr. Madison, how are we going to find the y? The y is all of this, right? Yeah. But now we need a single integer. And now that we have x, we can get it. This is a little bit of a process. Now that we have this, guess where we can put this x? You can put this x in for either one of these. But I want to put it in for the easier one. If you put it in here, it's not easy because I still need to get rid of this. This is already written in the y equals form. Why not put it there? Let's do it. Y equals 6. And instead of putting x, I put 2. And then minus 11. Now we just simplify. We did this already, people. We did this part already. We did this last semester, if you remember. 6 times 2, right? We do multiplication first. HMDIS, right? 6 times 2 is 12. 12 minus 11 is 1. Y equals 1. So guess what? Now we have our point. What is our answer? Our answer is 2, 1. But what does that even mean? This is our answer. This is the answer. What does this mean, though? I just wrote a 2, comma 1. What is that? We have to define what that is. I'm going to tell you. What that says is, at the point 2, 1 on the graph, these two lines, they intersect. They intersect. That's all that means. And that's what we've been doing in this unit. Is trying to figure out where do two lines intersect. These are lines. This isn't written in the equation of the line form. This one is. But we can rewrite this to where it says y equals blah, blah, blah. And you can prove this by rewriting this equation and then graphing them. And you'll see they cross at 2, 1. This is important to understand. Let's go back through the entire thing again. Let's go back through the entire thing again. Here we go. Let's go through the problem one last time. Start with the system of equations. A system is like the two equations, okay? We have y equals 6x minus 11. And then we have Negative 2x minus 3y equals negative 7. This one is written in that slope-intercept form. This one is written in the standard form. But that does not matter because we're using substitution. If we were using the other method, the graphing method, we would have to switch this into this form. But we don't have to do that this time. Okay? The first step is going to be what? Replacing y, right here, with everything that y equals. That's what we did here in the parentheses, right? The next step is going to be to distribute this 3 in, so we can simplify this, right? The next step is to combine like terms. The terms with x's next to them are the same. In another problem, you might have to combine 2 y's. Or in another problem, you might have to combine 2 regular integers. Just know what like terms are. You cannot combine this and this because this one doesn't have an x. Does that make sense? I hope so. We combine them. Negative 2x minus 18 gives us negative 20x. This is on the number line. The number becomes more negative. You add it and take the sign of the larger number. But both of these are negative, so you just add them and take the sign. Okay? Then we bring everything down, right? But remember, I want to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of this positive 33. Whenever you want to move something from one side of the equation to the other, you have to do the opposite. So if this is positive, then it has to be negative. Whatever you do to this side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other side. That's what we did. So we just brought down the negative 20x, and then we added negative 7 and negative 33 and made it more negative, negative 40. So I moved over here, up to the top. Negative 20x is equal to negative 40, but remember, I wanted to say x equals only. I don't want any numbers next to it. So I need to get rid of negative 20. How do I get rid of the negative 20? Well, I have to do the opposite operation. This is multiplication. This is negative 20 times x. So I need to divide by negative 20. And whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other side. So that's what I did. I divided this side by negative 20. These two negative 20s cancel because that just equals like 1, and we don't have to write the 1. Okay? And then negative 40 divided by 20 is 2. And we can prove that because 2 times negative 20 is 40. That's how you check it. So we have x equals 2. That gives us the x part of our answer. Right? Then all we had to do was take the easier of the 2 in the system and put the 2 in for x. We used y equals 6x minus 11 because it was easier, because this one has a number in front of the y. So we could do this one, but we would have had to do an extra step. So we didn't want to do an extra step. Do what is easier in these problems. So that's what we did. Y equals 6, and instead of putting an x, I put 2. It's 6 times 2 minus 11, right? Y equals 6, and then we put a times 2 minus 11. Then we just simplify. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally says we need to multiply before we subtract. 6 times 2 is 12. Bring down the minus 11. 12 minus 11 is 1. That's the y coordinate. You bring down the y. Y equals 1. So now we have our x, which is 2, and our y, which is 1. The point on the graph where these two cross is at the point 2, 1. Thank you.